The local elections are around the corner. Come the 1st of November, you're going to be required to make your mark. Today, on the couch with Lisa Sukdev, we've got mayoral candidate from MOSA, Mr. Ronnie Veeren. How are you, Ronnie?
I'm fine, Lisa, and you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to come out. You do have quite a colourful political history. And I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself. From when you started off with the PPF, you went on to the DA, the ANC, and now why MOSA? Can you share that with us?
Lisa, as I indicated, I joined a civic association in Phoenix in 1983, together with veteran politicians Omi Singh and George Murray, as part of the executive, which was one of the most dynamic teams in Phoenix at the time. And soon enough, we realized that as a civic association, you could only go so far. There was a need to go to a high level. You needed to represent your people at a city council level, as we knew it then. So in 1987, when Omi Singh and I from Phoenix were approached by Mr. Mamu Rajab and Mr. Pat Puvelingham, to join them with the PFP of Ellen Suzman and Van Zyl Slabbert, we gladly agreed to do so. And we were admitted to the party in 1987 by none other than the late Dr. Alan Payton on the Berea.
Quite a privilege.
It was indeed.
Yeah.
So that made Omi Singh and I the longest and oldest Indian members of the DA and its predecessors in South Africa.
So from the PPF you then
PFP.
Sorry, my apologies. From the PFP you then moved on to the DA, then you moved on to the ANC and now MOSA.
No. The PFP was a natural extension of the proceeded to the PFP. Okay. I mean to the DP, sorry. Okay, 1989.
The Democratic Party.
The DP proceeded and evolved into the DA through a merger with the former National Party.
Okay.
So it was all the same party, right until then.
And then you progressed to the ANC and now you formed MOSA.
That's right.
Can you tell us what was the reason for the transition?
The move from the DA to the ANC was purely because I believed that I could do a lot more if I joined the ruling party, because they held the purse strings. And being a very successful ward councillor, and just for the record, I achieved the highest Indian vote for the DA in South Africa.
Wow.
And I felt that I'd reached a ceiling as far as delivery was concerned, because more and more people were wanting infrastructure that required capital development, for speed humps, for community halls, for crash barriers, and all those kind of huge things. And the only way you could unlock that is if you could talk to the ruling party. And so when I served on the Durban Executive Committee, the top 10 of Durban, I was able to see very clearly that via the ANC that you could make a difference. But when I joined them, I realized that this was not to be. That the emphasis was certainly not on service delivery, and certainly there was no emphasis on the Indian community of Phoenix and Chatsworth.
So tell us about MOSA, the Minorities of South Africa.
Okay.
How did the party start? What is the vision behind?
All right. I was not the founder member of MOSA. MOSA was formed in January 2016 by the present leader, Councillor Roy Moodley, and he has been asking me to join ever since. And because I'd already joined once, having been with the party for 27 years with the DA, and then making a move was quite a big step, you must agree. And that happened on the 5th of December 2013, on the morning that Mr. Nelson Mandela passed away. So it was a very giant step, and it's the decision that I do not take lightly. So when my former colleague in the DA asked me to join him, I hesitated, because I believed that I needed to go through the run with the ANC and get the experience, because being in the ANC was a completely different experience from the DA. I think I was too comfortable in the DA. I think I needed to know what it was to deal with people from other communities and experience what they experience on a daily basis. So my interest was there, and nowhere could I see that more clearly when I served as a member of the executive committee.
So I have to ask you a question, especially when it comes to smaller parties, right? And as you've admitted that you don't have enough clout at council level to make a great difference. So which parties would you align yourself with, and principally, which parties would you not align with at all?
Lisa, valid question. When I had moved then, it was very clearly a two-horse race, as we would call it in politics. We had the ANC and the DA that held the majorities by far. Okay, there was no EFF at the time. Okay? So there was no talk of coalitions. Came 2006, what we saw experience in Cape Town, that Ellen Zille then had to get a coalition of 5 other parties in order to achieve a majority. And then we started seeing the need for minority interest. And just as an example, a Freedom Front councillor who had only one seat in the council was able to be the Speaker of the Cape Town City Council in 2006 with only 1 seat on the council. The power of 1. So, to answer your question, we have a different scenario came 2016, where lots of metros were hung councils. So coalition politics played a very, very big role. So I believe that more than ever before, the minority party, even if you have 1 seat on council, is so important to hold the balance of power. I want to share one very important example with you.
Please do.
And that is what happened in 1996. I became a councillor for the first time on the then North Central Council. The Durban metropolitan area had 6 substructures. The North Central, the South Central Councils, the South, the North, the Inner West, and the Outer West. On the North Central Council, which covered the areas of Phoenix, Overport, Newlands, the ANC did not have a majority on the council. Soon after the 1999 elections, Mark Lowe was promoted to Parliament, and I replaced him as the DP leader on the council. And the person that replaced Lydia Johnson as mayor of the North Central Council was current MEC Nomusa Duba. Nomusa Duba would call on the party leaders, George Murray of the National Party, Tony Adams of the Minority Front, and myself as leader of the DP, for a briefing before any budget is passed on the council. She would not be able to pass a budget without our participation and our vote and our support. So we basically held the balance of power. And through that, between 1996 and 1999, Phoenix saw the greatest improvement in capital expenditure.
So I love the wealth of history and wisdom and experience that you have. But what I need to share with our constituents and our viewers is, why MOSA now? What are you going to do? What is the vision? Why should we as voters go and put a cross next to the candidates for MOSA?
As I indicated, I was not a founding member. But when I joined in January last year, it was very apparent that the so-called Indian area, predominantly Indian areas, were being sidelined. They were being sidelined in terms of the budget. We also had the predominantly areas, Indian areas of Chatsworth and Phoenix, which are dominated by the DA at the moment as ward councils, were being neglected by these ward councils. There was a need for an alternative to stand against these councils who are not doing the work.
And what does MOSA candidates plan to do in those communities?
As I indicated to you earlier on, we identified our candidates before the COVID period. And we put everybody through a trial period during COVID and through the unrest. Some of them did not meet the threshold. So they dropped off. For the large majority of them stayed with us. And I can even name names. The candidates from Verulam and Tongaat, from Newlands, all the candidates in Phoenix, worked throughout the period. And I'm pleased to tell you, we were the only party that was open throughout the COVID-19 lockdown, through the unrest until now, in some instances on a Saturday and even on a Sunday, to deal with the myriad problems that the people had. Namely, last year, and this is particularly significant, we have never seen in the history of this council so many people get accounts based on averages, on estimates. People's accounts that were previously in the order of 1,000 Rand a month, 1,500 a month, suddenly shot up to 3,000 Rand a month, 5,000 Rand a month. And people faced imminent disconnection. They didn't know where to go. For the very first time, I experienced people from Palmview and Shaftesbury Park and in the central Phoenix areas came to our office in Stonebridge for assistance. And what we did, we produced a pro forma letter on the computer. And as a person came in, we put in the account number with the address and telephone and names, so we personalized it. And that letter was given to the council in order for them to get a special dispensation so that they could pay their arrears off over a 24-month period interest-free. That dispensation comes to an end on the 31st of December this year.
Well done.
And our party is on record as having issued something like 10,000 of those letters from last year until now. Now, essentially what the letters was, the council passed a resolution that these people are allowed this dispensation. But when you went to the rent office and the Caesar Calais centers, they were not aware of it. So our people were still charged the interest over a 24-month period. And if you charge them a 10% deposit, 10% over a 20,000 as opposed to 10% over 10,000 makes a huge difference. It's a difference between affordability and unaffordability. So that is what we facilitated very successfully. And as I was driving here just now, there's a lady from Red Fund that phoned to tell me, thank you very much, Mr. Veeren. I've just been to your offices and your ladies were so helpful and they gave me a letter to go to the rent office, and it's something I will show you as soon as this interview is over.
Okay, so I like the fact that you're giving us tangible examples of what you've already done and what you plan on doing going forward in terms of service delivery. And you've told us what you've done during the unrest period, and you've told us what you've done since COVID-19, and that's wonderful. Thank you so much. It was really wonderful to have you. Would you like to share a parting point with our viewers as to why they should put a mark next to one of the candidates and the MOSA name on the ballot?
Thanks, Lisa. Last week, I was at another radio station being interviewed, and I said to the participants there, I am in very good company, because for the first time in many years, I'm amongst so many prominent community leaders who have such a passion for Phoenix and its people. I want to see all those people after the elections in Phoenix, the people that have expressed so much of support and concern. Because what we want to do, we want to continue the work that we started years ago in Phoenix. We want to have our offices open at least every single weekday. We want our councillors to answer the telephones. We want them to be visible. That's what we want. And councillors who are not prepared to perform. I've been a long time in this game, and it is probably going to be my last term, because I'll probably retire at the end of this term. What I would like to do is to leave a legacy. This is not about me, and because, although I'm number 2 on the party's list, I have nevertheless chosen to stand as a candidate because I want to offer my expertise at ground level to serve as a mentor for my fellow colleagues that could be elected and for the community out there. Because in the next 5 years, there will be nothing much left for us to live for. Now is the time. Now is to vote for a party that has been present all along, that has the largest political party office in Phoenix, and that has been open throughout the period when the people needed them most.
Well, come the 1st of November, you're going to have to make a very serious decision, because indecision is not a choice. So today we had Ronnie Veeren, the mayoral candidate from MOSA, and I certainly hope that it gave you insight into the party. Join us tomorrow when we speak to leader of the Minority Front, Shamim Rajbansi. Listen to what she has to say about the upcoming local elections.